Today, we are doing a 2-round 2026 NFL mock draft. Let's get right into this. There's no trades. Below my face is my board. Some interesting movement. If you see an asterisk, those are guys who, with some new All-22, are probably bound to drop with reevaluation. If you ever see a plus, it means it's a pre-injury evaluation. Let's get into this. If you guys want to see over 290 of these players broken down fully, as well as just the big board, along with stock report. You guys love that series, but there's an extended version and rookie watch where you get to see how every single player is doing in the rookie class, if they've taken a rep on offense or defense in a very succinct way. Feel free to go over to the Patreon, $5 a month, and I try to do my best to be able to give you guys good value over there, and it's been a great community. We have up to over 40 members right now. It's fantastic. But let's get into this, starting out with the number 1 overall pick. Before we end up really jumping into this, I do want to say I am not including Jermod McCoy. I usually kind of forget to say that, but it's a really big thing. We're not putting Jermod McCoy or Lenoris Sellers in this. And then if we have any other guys that we want to, not include, we can end up discussing that. But the Tennessee Titans apparently have the number 1 selection, and this is going to be a prime opportunity, in my opinion, to trade down if a team wants to get ballsy. Later this week, we're going to be doing a trades mock draft. Of course, this one does not have it, but I want to discuss that ahead of time because that trades mock draft is going to lead into our first way too early 2027 NFL mock draft that I've already started to concoct on the side. Pending, how we end up addressing that mock draft. But I'm super excited for that 2027 mock draft coming in this week that actually ties in with the episodes. But number 1 overall, Titans without trades. We're going to go after best player available. For me, for the Titans, I just want consistency and I want impact. It's great to help out on the offensive side, but at number 33, without trades, I feel comfortable with a top tier weapon slipping to us then. Wide receiver hasn't gone number 1 in a hot minute, and as much as I love Jordan Tyson, it's not a Jeremiah Smith situation. We're going to be going Ruben Bain Jr., edge rusher out of Miami. Does not have the necessarily amazing arm length that you're looking for. I had the pleasure of seeing Ruben in person at SMU, so got to use my own eyeballs on him, and he didn't show off the way maybe some other faster, twitchier edge rushers did, but he is still someone who on a down-to-down basis is going to make a huge impact, especially for a team like the Titans that needs to end up getting something consistent and something right on the defensive side. I know we got to invest in Cam Ward, but I mean, you need to invest in the franchise, and Cam Ward is not the only stakeholder in said franchise. If you're going to have the opportunity to massively help out the defense, I think that also massively helps out the offense. Number 2, New Orleans Saints. The question is, are they going to be willing to move off of Tyler Shough? Now, Shough ended up showing some real potential. He was, I believe, my QB5 going into that draft class. So, taken about where I thought he should, and I think that for the Saints, based on where all the other quarterbacks went, they should have waited. But at least Shough doesn't look like absolute garbage. That being said, you still see guys like Fernando Mendoza here that, he's showing. Some people want to call him Jared Goff. I think he has more mobility than that. But I ended up seeing a comp to the in between Justin Herbert and Daniel Jones. That comp was not made by myself, but it was made by Todd McShay. I literally just watched a YouTube short on it like 10 minutes ago, so that's why I'm talking about that. Only YouTube channel that talks about the draft I end up watching shorts for. Good job by that organization for making those good. But I will say that we're in a long stretch of teams that are going to be looking at quarterback. I am also not including Dante Moore. Should have said that at the beginning. There's a strong consensus in the people who know far more than I do and far more than probably you do as well. And they have their ears inside the Oregon organization. They're expecting Dante Moore 100% to be returning to school. So I just want to throw that out there. But, with pretty much Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza being the top of the class, you have to continue throwing darts. If you're at number 2, which again, we'll see where they end up. But if they end up at number 2, the project is something that you can't just fully stick to. Sometimes you got to say, hey, we saw some flashes, but that also might give teams like maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers, my Steelers, but looking at teams that are not necessarily going to have the value for the quarterback position that they might want to try to upgrade, an opportunity to be able to spend lower value capital and then flip Shough for a pick, for example. So we're going to go Fernando Mendoza. He The problem with Fernando is that he's very inconsistent. He has a lot of sloppy plays, but he's come through in the clutch and has made his best performances when he needs to. And that's the most important thing. Fernando's stepping up in the biggest moments. So, really good performance this past week by Fernando at the end of the game. Of course, not a huge fan of, the interception he threw, nor the fact that it was that close versus Penn State. But at number 3 overall for the New York Giants, we need to get some firepower on this team. I mean, you can go Caleb Downs, continue bolstering the secondary with really, really good talent, and I'm not going to blame you. But this is an elite wide receiver class, and at number 35, you're not going to have the choice because I already know, well, if there is anything good, I very well might steal it with the number 33 and 34 picks because I like wide receiver to both the Titans as well as the Saints. And for the Giants, you're pretty much, Malik Neighbors and then, eh. So you need to go after some firepower here. And some people have Carnell Tate as their number 1 receiver. I respect it. I mean, Carnell has done such a good job. And honestly, like when I end up doing another reevaluation on him, because I think the last one I ended up doing was versus Illinois, but he's just continued to get even better. And the consistency has improved noticeably, especially compared to last year. Like we're seeing a almost full season of him, performing at an elite level. There's a strong chance he could jump Jordan Tyson for wide receiver 1. We are in a blessed class. So if you want to go Tyson, you want to go Tate, I don't disagree with you. It's a matter of preference. But I do think Jordan Tyson's a complete wide receiver. His injury concerns are only a concern because of the quantity, not because of the connection. And some guys just have some bad luck. Some guys just have very good luck in college. We're kind of seeing right now, I'm not saying this is, God forbid this happens, but Travis Hunter out for the year with an LCL repair. Like he was an Iron Man in college, ends up in his first season having to basically go on season-ending injury for a surgery. So knock on wood, God forbid that's not the case with some more of the Iron Man style players, but it could be the inverse for Jordan Tyson where maybe some injury bugs and, his body ends up, being even better with even better training, even better regiment. Could end up being the case. So I just want to throw that out there because some people are going to say, hey, the injuries, but I will say if there's no connection, it's worth at least, putting it out there that maybe it's just bad luck. And then unfortunately for the guys who have not dealt with that, maybe it's just good luck. So Jordan Tyson, my top wide receiver in the class. I'm going to go with him here at number 3. Again, you also want to take a little bit of the stress off Malik Neighbors when he's going to be coming back from injury. Very, very important. At number 4 for the Cleveland Browns, quarterback just seems to be the move. Your Dylan Gabriel's ass is what it is. And I didn't mention this at the start, and I ended up mentioning it at pick number 2. We're not having Dante Moore come out in this either. And you might say, Alex, why are you limiting yourself so much? Because honestly, guys, everybody else does the same bullshit mock draft where they're going to end up doing exactly what's on the mock draft simulator. And you're coming here for a unique experience and something that also blends with something that's real. And my goal is to show you below my face what I think and then provide to you guys what I learn on the side. So I am unfortunately very much addicted to the McShay show. Shout out to him and Steve Mensch. Can't wait for a day to be able to be big enough to have one of those guys on the show. But maybe one of these days. I mean, I was at least able to say hi to Todd McShay last year in Mobile. Really seems like a really chill guy. I mean, Steve Mensch especially. I just haven't been able to meet Mensch. But I mean, they have way better sources than I could ever have. Am I going to use everything they say as pure gospel? No. But will I take it over my gut intuition? Absolutely. And that's why I'll tell you guys about it. And they're like almost fully on board with the idea that Dante Moore, based on inside sources that they have, is going back to school. They have everything set up. They're going to try to make a championship push. If they make a championship this year, maybe things change. But it does appear that all the inside sources say no. And we're already having Lenoris return in this because it's pretty damn obvious he's going to return to school. So we're going to go Ty Simpson here. He is red hot. Could have ended up being the number 2 overall pick. I mean, if you want to flip the 2, flip the 2. It doesn't really change anything. But Ty Simpson, to me, again, still building that experience. I do wonder about Ty Simpson's inconsistency with placement. I'm seeing some of these balls thrown behind. He has these unbelievable sniper shots. And I think when it comes to the deep passes, he's like 2 for 30 or 2 for 20. And I'm forgetting the exact ratio. I mean, when he hits, but he's talking about like, hey, my placement on deep passes is a little bit concerning. And the splash plays are very important in the NFL. I will say he has the most important part down, which is, within 15 yards, this guy can dish it. And the big time throws are phenomenal. That was the first thing I noticed from him when he played Wisconsin. I got my first grade in on him. It was just like, this guy's big time throws are absolutely awesome. So I will say, whether Stefanski's there or not, I don't know. I think he should be fired. Unfortunately, he's had a long leash with a team with a ton of talent, and there's just nothing to show for it. Ty Simpson, though, really solid quarterback to provide a high floor and then end up building around said high floor. Number 5 for the New York Jets, no quarterback available. You might say, Dante Moore. Well, if you guys missed it earlier or what I just said, I'm having him and Lenore Sellers return to school. Again, I ended up already describing why I did that earlier. I'm not going to do it ad nauseum because, again, no one wants to be here for that. But you want to go after best player available. That's the goal. You have pick number 32, 37, 44. I mean, look at that stretch of picks right there. And this team, I mean, I don't understand what the hell they're doing with Quincy Williams, but they definitely need a linebacker. They need firepower, and they do need quarterback. That's not going to be the choice. But Peter Woods as well is a very good option here. I will say they do like what they have. I like what I've seen from Jawan Briggs to where I wouldn't take Peter Woods here at 5. If I see Christian Miller at 32, I'm not going to stop from picking him because you guys see where he's at on my board. I'm a very big fan of that. And, again, just, SEC top tier program makes a lot of sense. So I will say put defensive interior on the back burner. It's Arvell Reese or it's Caleb Downs. That's where my head's at. Feel free to toss in a name. Wide receiver, honestly, you could definitely convince me to Carnell Tate. I'll just say this. Carnell, in the role that he has, is probably almost identical to what I would really want from AD Mitchell. Like, both are I believe they're both in the 6'3" range, both a really similar weight as well, both really smooth movers for their size. And, AD just hasn't reached his potential, but Carnell and AD were very similarly rated for me. Carnell, when he'll get reevaluation, will be very similarly rated to AD Mitchell. So I'll just say that's the only reason I'm not going Carnell Tate here. I'm going to go Caleb Downs. And you might say, what the hell? But you have to go after the best player available, the one that makes the biggest impact. And safety might not be, but Caleb Downs for 3 years straight has been arguably the best player in the whole entire country. And we have prospect fatigue. We do. And the Jets, last time they took a safety this high, had Jamal Adams, who yielded 2 first-round picks for them. Just because he ended up being ass after the fact does not erase the fact that he was a game changer in your secondary. You guys like physicality. You got a bunch of young corners that are there, gritty ballers. Now you can end up having a commander of that secondary as well and building a very reliable shell where you have your secondary that is just super reliable. You have the edge rushers in place. You have developmental defensive interiors that are working their way through. And you're working on the linebacker side. The reason I did not go Arvell Reese is because I don't see the role available for him to be able to have enough of a presence at edge. And if that's the case, we haven't seen a pure linebacker taken in the top 10 for the past 5 years. I think Arvell could end up changing that. However, I think it needs to go to a team that has the ability to use him as an edge. Not going to do that to a team that kept both of their starting edges. I think it's disingenuous. And I also don't, if the Jets were really hard set on Arvell Reese, they would have been willing to move their price on Johnson. So I just got to throw that out there. But Caleb Downs, getting great players with your picks is how you end up building a franchise. You need to get the quarterback, but again, with Dante Moore considered returning in this, just got to throw that out there. But for the Las Vegas Raiders at number 6, again, I know I'm going to get people who are clamoring for Dante Moore. he's not considered to be coming out in this. So it's the last time I'm going to say it before. Well, I guess I need to say it for the Dolphins pick too. But that's the last time I'm going to mention it before people should probably, get a hint when other players are just randomly not being selected that they're not going to be considered coming out. So at number 6 overall, I'm looking at Arvell Reese, and it's a darling for you. Like, the problem is it's Arvell Reese or Spencer Fano. If I had trades, I would probably do everything in my power to trade down and to see if there's a team that's looking for Arvell Reese. I mean, one of them, especially if the Commanders can somehow get maybe a couple more wins and get to that 11 range, I would love to move down like right before Arizona and then take Spencer Fano, build up the O-line. It's going to be tough to see how that ends up working out. But with Arvell Reese here, I think it's not fair to say that you're going to pass on Arvell for, Dane Brugler did not even have a tackle in his top 10. Arvell, if I'm not mistaken, he's in like top 3. So we're going to go Arvell Reese here. First off, you need edge presence. That's what Arvell brings. Second off, your linebacker core's ass. Helps out there. It just seems, and then again, you have a defensive head coach. I think that it's a must pick. Like, you have to pick Arvell Reese at that point. At number 7 for the Miami Dolphins, a lot of really good players taken ahead of you. I know some people even would want Arvell Reese. Crazy win versus the Bills. Funnily enough, shout out to my manager. She's a Bills fan and went on a trip to Miami to watch the Bills play the Dolphins and then somehow find a way to lose. So, it's funny. But you guys ended up pulling out a crazy, crazy victory. The NFL is full of those crazy ones. But at number 7, offensive firepower is super critical. And in the NFL now, wide receivers are translating quicker than ever. With Carnell Tate being arguably wide receiver 1, I don't see how you can ignore the value here. Like, again, coming from a proven program, Carnell is playing better even than Emeka was in his last year at Ohio State. And Emeka, obviously, this is not to shade Emeka at all. He's doing a fantastic job. Probably would be even better than Carnell in the NFL. Maybe not. We'll see. But Carnell is coming from a proven program with consistent hits in the NFL. It makes sense for a team that is going to be losing Tyreek Hill, a huge portion of the future of this offense, or at least the present capabilities, and they were trying to look to get an heir apparent. This just makes a ton of sense. This can be a true number 1. You can have Waddle as well, being a dynamic duo. So we have 3 Ohio State players go back to back to back. I just think that the value there was perfect for all 3 of them. I'm very happy with that. At number 8, we have the Washington Commanders. And, it's honestly the first pick where I just feel like, damn. I took all the players I'd probably want for this team, right in the past 3 picks. Carnell Tate was incredible value. The Commanders do need to get better in their receiving core. Arvell Reese is a dream. If Dan Quinn, who just took back play calling duties on defensive side, that probably means he's worried about his job. So hopefully he's still there, because I love how he utilizes his defense. And I don't think people give enough credit for how well he has elevated the pretty garbage talent that's been there. There's a couple really good pieces that I love, but in totality, it's a roster that was elevated, not a great roster that DQ is not doing a great job with. But Arvell Reese would have been really fun to see with him, even Caleb Downs, but that's not the case. Defensive interior is not a position I would probably try to target this moment, even though you guys see exactly what I think of Peter Woods. I love him to death. I think this team needs to be looking at edge, which the value, in my opinion, just is not there. Some people want to claim David Bailey at this pick. I'll just say, do your own research. I ended up talking about it on X. You can go, feel free to check it out over there. But, the past 2 years, there have been 2 pretty big red flag incidents for me. If you have one flare-up of personality concern, who hasn't been an idiot one time? But versus NC State in 2024, he was curb stomping a player after the play multiple times. I ended up being flagged for that. I don't know if he got ejected off the top of my head, but the clip's out there on X, as well as this past year, assaulted and battered a cameraman after the ASU game. So to me, with 2 red flags there, it's just, there's a lot of really good talent. You don't necessarily need, I don't understand why people aren't talking about it. It's kind of weird to me, but It is what it is. But the Commanders have a lot of areas to fill. So what's the best player available? And this is a position, this is a player who I've wanted to give a lot more credit to for a very long time. I'm looking at Mekhi Lemon and Denzel Boston here with KC Concepcion. Like, wide receiver is still extremely underrated. Here's my only concern with Mekhi. Since he's smaller, I think it's a little bit of an overlap with Jalen Lane in terms of who's going to be taking a little bit of the slot reps. I'm looking at Denzel Boston, and this guy's been so damn good on a daily basis. Damn good. And, he's sitting right now at number 24 on my board. The value for the Commanders are not good here. If with trades, I'd trade back. So just want to throw that out there as well. Also with the picks that you guys technically just don't have, it's a great opportunity for you guys to get better picks. But at number 8, I just don't think the value is there for the most part. You can talk about Mansour Delane as a boundary corner because, Marshawn Lattimore, not healthy, kind of ass. You got to get good value. I mean, you can't say fuck it to value. We're not going to reach on a receiver right now. We're going to go Mansour Delane, cornerback at LSU. Trey Amos has a really good potential, but I want him as a corner 2. Mansour stood out to me as a true corner 1, and I loved his transition over to Virginia Tech, my corner 1 coming into this year, and still my corner 1 with a very, very close corner 2 that I just studied today. And I did not expect to like him this much. And I don't think he's on here. So we got a placeholder in the first round, everybody. At number 9 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Good positions everywhere. Again, or good value pretty much at every single position. Peter Woods, underrated position to go, or underrated player to go after here. I don't see the value necessarily. With no trades, he's going to slip unnecessarily far. Just FYI, this would probably be a great spot for Peter Woods to have been traded up for. But for the Bengals here, I've talked about edge and why none of these players really fit their archetype of edge, like Keldrick Falk. So organizationally, they like size, they like measurables, and they like high RAS. So they like the freaks. I respect that, especially if they're going to draft them high. So that's why Shamar Stewart. They like 265 plus, they like long arms, and they like athletic. TJ Parker, shorter arms. Keldrick Falk, not athletic enough. David Bailey, 250. Cassius Howell, 250. Romello Height, 250. LT Overton, kind of a D tackle, not a good RAS player. R. Mason Thomas, 250, short arms. Quincy Rhodes, probably the first guy who fits based on this list. Joshua Josephs, 240. Mateo Uiagalelei, possible. So you're just talking about a large group of these guys being disqualified for what the organization goes after on a normal, like a down by down situation year by year. And so we're not going to do that. But I could be open to like Spencer Fano here, Caleb Lamu, CC Maui Goa, putting him at guard. Instead, I'm going to get something for the defense. And I'm going to go after the player who I have at number 8 overall on my board and never once thought I'd love him this much. And he probably won't even come out this year. He's a true junior. It's Brandon Cisse. I think I'm saying that right. Cornerback from South Carolina. Jalen Kilgore will not be selected in this mock draft because I don't like him that much. So he's going to be the placeholder for his teammate, Brandon Cisse, out of South Carolina. My nickname for him is Suction Cup Cisse. It sounds way worse. It sounded way better in my head. But the dude actually, he pretty much suction cups to the wide receiver. Nearly no separation. Elite twitch. Completely fluid as well. So it's crazy to see those players that float on their feet. And I mean, he is really, really smart. I ended up watching his game, funnily enough, versus Alabama. Let me make sure that he's not listed somewhere else. I wanted to give you guys his PFF grade and all that stuff, but it's better on the eyes with the overall graphics. I love doing stuff like this. But regardless, his worst game was versus Alabama. Of course, it's the first game I study. But there was a play where it looks, and this is why context is so key, because you just have to understand the situation these guys are in. It was a bench concept, and he ended up, tight end basically running an out route underneath something that's stemming vertical. But he ended up being off coverage and then tried to basically lurk the out route. And Ty Simpson ended up throwing, it was actually a go through a honey hole spot. And I was like, why did you jump down? Ty Simpson wasn't even in a throwing motion yet. By the way, he teleported. Crazy short range of mobility. But what ended up happening is I ended up going back to understand the context of the play. There was 6 seconds left. in the half. So I was like, oh, okay. So he ended up, funnily enough, baiting. Like he basically sat back for just a second off the snap, just so Ty would see that he's sitting, basically communicating, hey, the out route to Cuevas was going to be open. Of course, he ended up pretty much planning to jump it the whole time. And, ended up actually having a shanked pass to the wide receiver on the boundary. So they didn't get, I don't think they got any points that half or that drive. So I would just big context clue there. If you guys are watching tape and you're wondering, why did that player do something that like it didn't make sense? Like the wide receiver didn't do like a route fake or anything like that. Why did he bite down? Look at the situation they're in, and it's actually a very smart decision. Not many quarterbacks are going to try to thread the needle, especially when it looks like the corner is playing off. Yeah, he ended up doing a pretty damn smart play, and actually ended up paying off, but could have ended up biting him in the ass. Regardless, Brandon Cisse is a freaking stud. He could end up being the best player in the class. It's nuts to say that, but I think he's a true corner one in the NFL. The only reason he's behind Mansour, and again, I love Mansour with all my heart, is because for some reason Cisse is on a snap count. I ended up trying to look up, seeing if there's any reason for it, but there's just certain drives where he's not in 100% of the time. Don't understand what that's all about, but if you guys have more context, please feel free to clue me in. Number 10, Los Angeles Rams. Whew. This is honestly a team I'm just going to run this one up to the podium because I'm giving a massive middle finger to the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going to go Spencer Fano, right tackle out of Utah. This team needs to go after a future right tackle. I have some concerns whether Fano will be a guard or a tackle, but based on some arm length concerns that I have, no official numbers at the moment, but definitely somebody who has been the most productive offensive lineman. I do love me some Caleb Tiernan, but at the same time, I blend my board with realism to give you guys my twist on a mock draft rather than just my mock draft, because it's not really fair to do that. And also, it takes half of the game out. If I just say, oh, I'm going to take this player here because I like this player, you see my board. That's not fun. It's not good. Like, I mean, you guys come here and you don't want to do all this research. Okay, well, this is what Alex thought should happen. What do people think will happen? Like, there has to be a hybrid of that. That's why you would end up coming here. But number 11, Arizona Cardinals. Peter Woods, honestly, not a bad choice. But, a deep threat definitely could be a legitimate option here. Casey Concepcion provides that. He's been on fire. I mean, like week after week, he's a huge reason why this team is as dominant as they are. You want someone who could threaten deep, but also you have that return ability as well. So you have instant like impact on multiple phases of the game. Like, I just don't know whether the value of CC is. To be fair, I would try to trade back and still get CC Mauigoa if I could. He ended up because I got the pleasure of seeing him a couple weeks ago here at SMU, but he is someone who passed the eye test. Really fluid mover. I don't understand why, since he's so fluid, he can't handle inside counters. Just as kryptonite, which is why I like him at guard. Has some shorter arms. And to be fair, with the Cardinals, if you're looking at someone who's going to fit their archetype of like what Paris Johnson was, you're looking at a Caden Proctor and Trevor Gooseby. Those are the more physical, like the measurable archetype. Those are the two players you look at. I'm going to go after just the best player available. We're going to go after CC. Again, just kind of getting best value for your pick. It's just better than trying to just go solely after like, oh, this organization one time drafted this. Like when you look at the Bengals, they have a long history, apart from acquiring via free agency like Trey Hendrickson, of drafting dudes who have particularly consistent traits. At number 12, we had the Dallas Cowboys. And if y'all didn't have Quinnen Williams, Peter Woods would be kind of nice. So the Ravens, of course, they're going to lurk Peter Woods. Happens every time. But regardless, this team needs a couple certain areas, a couple disciplines. And I would say that it would be running back. Jeremiah Love has been having a fantastic year. Like there's no bones about it. This guy's been fantastic. Multiple years in a row over 6 yards per carry. And that was after a pretty slow start to the year. I'll say this. Jerry is a very smart businessman. Maybe not smart in terms of the football realm because he's made some very crazy moves. We talk about cap space as well. Like not some I mean, he's trying to keep the core part of his brand intact. But smart business people, also he's not the one solely running the show. Okay, anybody who thinks it's only on Jerry, time to get your head out of the sand. But this team, back to back years, has found really good production from the running back position for very little investment. I highly doubt they're going to say, why not invest a lot into that? It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up logically to what they do. In terms of what happened with Marshawn Kneeland, friend of the show, friend of mine, if you guys want to see what I think about that whole situation, I ended up attaching it to a mock the mock that I ended up doing last week. You just type Marshawn Kneeland for my show, and then you'll end up seeing it. But, that whole situation, you guys can go feel free to see the more emotional side of that and like how, obviously like my thoughts on the situation. But if we want to look at it solely objectively, there's a vacancy at edge. And TJ Parker's here, and he has the size, the twitch, and the technique. I don't know why more people aren't talking about TJ Parker. Like, to me, is he like a bona fide top 10 guy? No. But this is somebody, as you end up allowing the defensive interiors to generate pressure like Quinnen Williams, it doesn't require the edge rushers to be as impactful immediately. And I think TJ Parker has among the best ceiling in the class at edge. And I really love his game. I love Malachi Lawrence. I'm a huge Malachi Lawrence guy. You guys know this. I love Clev Lubin as well. These guys all need mentions. But, I mean, you see Malachi there. I need to drop his grade a little bit for his run defense. But all that aside, again, this is why I blend my board with realism. I love him to death. I personally think if every other team saw these players the way that I did, this would be a good spot for him. But that doesn't make sense. I'm going to blend it with realism, which people believe TJ Parker is, a very, very good option. And this team needs edge help. And by your next pick, I don't necessarily, especially since you don't have a second round pick, one of the two needs to be edge. And I know a lot of teams in here, they'll be looking at edge as well. I feel like you just have to take the value there with TJ Parker. And number 13 for the Ravens, quick and easy. You guys know this. Peter Woods all day, every day. My number 2 player in the class. Just again, didn't really feel like there was a strong fit up until now. And again, with no trades, this is what happens. Number 14, Minnesota Vikings. I mean, honestly, if we had Spencer Fano or CC Maui-Goa available, I would start honestly looking at that. The right tackle spot for the long haul, not a bad position to target. Center, 100% something I would target, just not here, probably at 46 or in the third round. For the Vikings, you could look at Jeremiah Love. The production has just not been there in the corner or in the running back realm in terms of what you would expect from a really highly competitive team. And at the same time, Mr. 9 has not necessarily lived up to the expectations for a team that, obviously was so damn dominant last year. It's been a little bit more of a rough ride. And so we'll see what happens. But I will say boundary corner as well is going to be super important to address. And Jamal McCoy considered returning in this. We might have very similar to what happened just here with 3 Ohio State players, 3 Clemson players, defenders, back to back to back. Avion Terrell is fantastic. I don't know what the hell Clemson's doing, but they have great talent all over their defense and are just not making it work. I don't get it, but your best player, arguably, on defense, like in some of the biggest moments, has been Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, this past week, he literally ended up being on the ground and somehow still made a tackle of Lamar Jackson. Power to him. He also had like a 99.9 PFF game. Avion Terrell is what you guys are looking for because it's what's working and it's what you guys have shown to be looking for. So I'm going to go after Avion Terrell because even though, thank God, I found Brandon Cisse and it made my opinion of the cornerback class shift dramatically, there's still so many areas of the draft, like second round, especially the third round, where the value should be there and it doesn't really feel like it is. So, Avion Trell, the selection there, fixing a pretty big issue. 15 for the Houston Texans. Could look at Jeremiah Love. I do want to focus on the offensive line if possible. Just, I think that you got to go after best player available. And like Trevor Gooseby, you guys love measurables. Also, Trevor Gooseby has played right tackle. You could kick him to guard for short term as he develops and cross trains. I could 100% see that, by the way. He is somebody who's still growing in terms of his physical strength. And, technically it's not what you exactly want on the interior of the offensive line, but I do like his short range strength. When he gets up close, I like how that happens, but I do think his arms collapse a little bit too quickly, and that's something that he needs to build up a little bit more man strength for. There's a strong chance he ends up going back to school to be a top 10 pick next year, but we're going to go with him here at 15. At number 16 for the Carolina Panthers, again, I got to remember this is a 2-rounder, and I want to hit up the gym. But here at number 16 for the Panthers, some people even want to talk about quarterback. Again, Dante Moore not considered coming out in this. I just have to continue throwing that out there. Same thing with Jermod McCoy. If Avion Trell were here, I'd 100% consider it. I do think linebacker is a big issue for y'all. And the more I think about it, the more I am starting to get a little bit more comfortable with Sonny Styles. The way he's elevated his game over the past year, I mean, we're almost through a full season, and he has a 0.0% missed tackle rate this year. That's just ridiculously reliable, and it kind of reminds me of when Jack Campbell was taken in the first round, a little bit higher than what we expected. He's a true Mike linebacker that has a crazy level of consistency, and this team in Carolina has a good track record with talented linebackers, and it's a core part of your identity. We're going to try it again, Sonny Styles. I normally trade back for it or, just try to ignore it, but I can't. At number 17 for the Chiefs, quick and easy, we're going to go Jeremiah Love. Didn't want to spend a third-round pick on Breece Hall, but we're going to spend a first-rounder on one that's very similar. Regardless, the value is right there. 5-year contract for a player who's going to be extremely impactful. I don't understand why you guys were like, oh, we're not going to give up a third-round pick. I personally don't get it. I think you could have ended up netting really positive by getting Breece Hall, and I think it's almost an indictment on you guys for not wanting to go after a championship. I think the whole entire point of being in the NFL is to win and not win games, win a championship. So that's why I think some of these organizations are willing to cut down to the grassroots and then just build up. I have a lot more respect than some of the teams that have remained consistently able to win some regular season games and challenge in the playoffs, which, I mean, that's what the Chiefs have done is compete for Super Bowls, which is why I'm kind of surprised why they're being complacent this year. I don't like what they're doing because it is against what I usually have seen them do. Also, I'm kind of throwing some shade at my Steelers right there because we're just consistently competitive during the regular season. Maybe can end up challenging in a playoff game, but end up always losing. Not really much momentum towards true success. Number 18 for the San Francisco 49ers is edge or offensive lineman. Again, losing your star edge, Michael Williams, to a season-ending injury when he needs the reps and the experience, that is killer. Now, I will say this. I don't think you need to go edge here at 18, and here's why. Saleh makes pass rushing so much easier on the edge rushers. He knows how to maximize his defense. And also, Christian McCaffrey has sucked the life force out of all your defense, and somehow you guys are still somewhat competitive. I mean, it's kind of bewildering. Wide receivers an underrated need for this team. Just that situation has not really worked itself out. But I will say offensive line is the one spot that I think you guys need to focus the most. And I've been doing this before. I'm still going to do it. I love Caden Proctor at left guard for y'all as he trains from Trent Williams and learns how to play the tackle position to take over. I don't think there's a better fit for a player in the NFL or in the whole entire draft. I just don't. I mean, I'm looking at it is there a better fit for any of these players? Talk about Arvell Reese, and even then, I'm like, it really does feel like Caden Proctor is the perfect fit. You have a hole at left guard to fill. I think Burford's playing there now, but Colby was asked for the majority of this year. And then you have the ceiling of Proctor as that tackle. And you have the guy who is also a mountain who's able to teach him his ways. It just feels like a match made in heaven. And number 19 for the Cleveland Browns, first pick, Ty Simpson. Second pick here at 19. Mekhi Lemon has to be it, or Denzel Boston, or KC. I mean, again, you could also talk about Chris Bell. I love them all. I mean, Chris Bell, where's he lurking now? At 18 on my board. These players are all so damn good, and you can't complain. I mean, it's just the value is impeccable. The question is, will you be able to get quality offensive lineman at 36? And my answer is probably. There's not that many teams in front of the Browns at 36 that I think would be sniping offensive line. Funnily enough, the teams with multiple picks, not really the ones I'm looking at for O-line. And then some of them that are, like the Rams, they already got it. So I think this is actually a prime opportunity to go best player available, and we are going to be going Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. Even though he has a smaller stature, this is going to be what Jerry Jeudy is kind of supposed to be. This guy is so dynamic, Mekhi Lemon. I mean, he's 5'11", 195, but he changes directions on a dime. He's able to go up and go into contested catch situations and end up dominating. This is just the definition of reliable. Some people have him in their top 5. I don't disrespect it. I got some crazy people in my top 5 too. But if you can do that at 19, call it a day. At 20 for the Steelers, again, for the Steelers fans who are skipping through the video and are wondering, why is Dante Moore here? Why is Jermod McCoy here? Both these guys I'm considered as returning. Jermod, true junior, hasn't even played a down. Doesn't make sense for him to come out, in my opinion. Dante Moore, from the inside information that we've heard from Todd McShay, he's saying everything's pointing to him returning to school. It also puts us in some fun situations where it's uncomfortable. We usually would have one or two of these more players slipping to us at this point, and we don't have that. Puts me in an awkward situation, but that's a good thing. That honestly is something that we need to stress test it, because when these players start returning to school, can't be like, oh, I've been drafting him for so long, I don't know who else to take. There's some people who end up just saying, okay, I'll drop them when they say they go back to school. And that's a certain way to handle it. That's just not the way I would handle it. I just don't think that's fair to you guys who are investing your time and energy. But I'm looking at Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston here. Again, for the quarterback situation, I'm having Moore and Sellers return. You could toss John Materin as well. There's not a quarterback that's worth it. I love Menza. You guys know me, huge fan of Darian Menza. Could take him here, but I also think he's going to return to school. I mean, he ended up having a really bad loss versus Connecticut. Really bad loss. So I just doubt that he comes out. It doesn't make sense. A lot of these quarterbacks, it does not make sense for them to come out. Now, Menza, you can argue it because, hey, you're still having a damn good year overall. This guy can sling it. A lot of people really like him. And especially with all these guys going back to school, we can include him. I don't know if he actually does come out, but the way this guy slings it, you know what? The draft's in Pittsburgh. We're going to get our quarterback in Pittsburgh. Darian Menza, going to be the selection there at 20. He is a top 50 player on my board, and that is with me not valuing quarterbacks very highly. It's a very big win. Again, Dante Moore considered returning. Same thing with Lenora Sellers. Again, Dante Moore from inside information from Todd McShay. Lenoris, it's so obvious. And then, the rest. I feel like Darian Menza has the higher probability out of those three. Number 21, Buffalo Bills. So at this point, linebacker value a little bit out of place. I mean, you could talk about Anthony Hill. He's a really fun option, no doubt about it. I mean, reliable. He's definitely someone who could pretty much affect the game in every single phase. As much as we like to blow up this linebacker class and say how amazing it is, there are some pretty key drop-offs, especially in terms of the 3 down linebackers. Part of me's thinking Ant Hill might be the good move here. I think edge, you have very good value. You know what? I've been trying to find a way to boost Keldrick Falk, and I think when he ends up coming out in the draft, the combine, he's going to end up being a lot more close to that 270 figure. I just think that Auburn's trying to utilize him in too much of a multifaceted way where they're putting him over the nose and stuff. And, that weight isn't conducive. So I will say we're going to go Keldrick Falk. Makes a lot of sense. Like Joey Bosa, you look at that physical build, bigger. And Keldrick Falk hopefully ends up being that good of a player. Of course, it would have been great to send him to the Bears because he fits Dennis Allen's prototypical build. But number 22, we do have the Chicago Bears here. I will say with Joe Tryon and Shoyinka, I'm pretty sure he's a little bit under, height-wise at least, what Dennis Allen historically has gone after. So there at least is some wiggle room that's popping up. I will say defensive interiors, a very underrated position for this team to target at nose tackle. I would trade back, get Caden McDonald if that's the move. Safety-wise, Dylan Thieneman, I mean, I love him overall. I will say he's been less consistent than I'd hoped for. I would look at Keon Saab or Zaki Wheatley in like the second round, or Thieneman if he's there. I just doubt he would be at 54. So I would end up looking at that realm. Running back, the value is not there. Some people want to highlight. There's a couple running backs that are like starting to make some strong pushes. And Le'Veon Moss's like absence, we've seen a good rise from like their running back core. Jadarian Price, I'm not saying that for the first round pick, but just talking about it in general. Like there's good options there. I'll say this, need to go after at least an impact player on either the offensive line or the defense. The left tackle spot, you could easily argue Caleb Lamu's a good choice. And if he ends up failing, him or Tiernan, if either of them fail, you can end up kicking them into guard because there needs to be some long-term aspect to guard. The problem is both these guys are tall. Tiernan 6'8", Lamu 6'6". Lamu is viewed by a lot of people higher than Tiernan, and I respect that. So I'm going to go Lamu here, and you're going to say, like, what the hell? But again, right guard, in my opinion, is not solved for the long haul. Like, Jackson hasn't been, in my opinion, feel free to correct me if you disagree, good enough to say no for an upgrade. And at left tackle, Benedict, not somebody who I really rely on. Okay, to be fair, I hate how you guys are so loyal to Ozzy Trapilo. And I love Ozzy. I just don't trust him. I can't trust him. We have to be realistic here. We're going to go after an edge. We're pivoting. I ended up doing this last week. Zion Young fits this archetype too damn well. 6'5", 262, fits the Dennis Allen build, and he's a good athlete. We'll throw the curve. We'll just go with the standard. I wanted to go curveball, but you guys in your love for Ozzy Trapilo at left tackle, I'd ship him away and send him to someplace like New England, back to where he was playing college, and end up drafting Caleb Lamu there. Feel happy about it, but it is what it is. 23 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going Kenyon Sadiq. I'm rolling the dice. I do think there's a strong chance if Dante Moore returns, Kenyon Sadiq also returns, but that's a much bigger stretch. Kenyon Sadiq, the selection there out of Oregon. He's had a bit of a down year, a little bit inconsistent, but this guy is just a mind-boggling athlete. And then after the catch, also blocking. He's really solid. Like, this dude could be a top 10 pick if you were just a little bit more consistent this year. At 24 for the Detroit Lions, I'm looking at left tackle because I don't trust the future there. Center-wise, not worth it here at 24. Otherwise, you look at Jennings Dunker, but it's Lamu or Tiernan. And for me, I kind of prefer to go after Tiernan in this case. Goff's a taller quarterback. I was saying for the Bears, maybe Lamu because Caleb's a little bit shorter. So you don't want 6'8" guards or tackles. For the Lions, I feel a lot more comfortable with it. Caleb Tiernan's fantastic. I mean, I don't know why people are allergic to Tiernan, but you do you, boo. At number 25 of the Dallas Cowboys, TJ Parker, the first selection. This one is actually going to be really quick as well. And I'm grateful he fell this far because I was thinking about taking him for my Steelers. I'm looking at Colton Hood. The corner core needs infusion of youth and energy, and it just doesn't have it. Colton Hood's been fantastic for the Volunteers this year. Another player who could try to return to school, but there's a lot of very good defensive backs in college, and he's red hot. If he goes back, could have a dynamic duo with McCoy, but right now he's been showing out as a true one in a system that he did not have a full offseason for. I'm going to go with him here for the Dallas Cowboys. At 26 for the Los Angeles Chargers, I mean, at this point, it just feels like we have an automatic um, Vega pick. It does kind of just add up. I personally would prefer Emmanuel Pregnon. That's a player that I like just a little bit more than Vega, but I mean, you can't complain. Vega's been just rock solid all year long. Like, and he's powerful. He's gritty. Edge rusher wise, I think you should just sign Owe to a longer term, lower risk deal, at least for a couple years, because he's showing out in a way he wasn't able to before. Now, if Minter leaves, a little bit more of an issue to deal with, but I'm going to still go after Vega here. I just think that the stars align a little bit too well in certain picks. Just don't mess with them. At 27 for the Los Angeles Rams, first pick Spencer Fano. Again, Jermod McCoy, Dante Moore considered returning in this. Please do not blow up my DMs. Asking, why are you dropping these players? Because, guys, just listen to the video. Let's just enjoy it. I make this content not to hear the sound of my voice, but to be able to have a good time talking with you guys. But for the Rams, quarterback's technically available, but I think with the way Stafford's playing, he has a couple more years in him, and that's something that you might want to take some swings on day 3. What other ways can we help the Rams? Go best player available and get like a ludicrously talented wide receiver here in KC Concepcion. Like the value through the roof. You get returning ability, you get someone who's great after the catch, and you get somebody who's like an instant fit to replace Tutu Atwell's role with an elevated presence. Call it quits. That is what making a run for a championship looks like. Retool your offensive line and get a super weapon. At number 28 for the New England Patriots, I did not have a first pick because you guys are actually good. I'm just not used to you guys being back here. Edge rusher, number 1 priority for me. I would say right tackle you could try because you got some veteranship there, but always able to upgrade there. David Bailey, I've talked about this before. Talent-wise, maybe I'll try to send him to one of these teams like late first, early second. But there's back-to-back years with really key big red flag incidents. If it's a one-time thing, I give you a break. I say, hey, like Abdul Carter ripping the tow truck guy out of his car. I get it. Like sometimes you do some dumb shit. But back-to-back years in the way it happened, I just don't think that Vrabel nor Mike McDonald, because those would be the 2 key teams to send him to, I don't think they're going to put up with that, especially for their first round pick. So the other player who I think is honestly better anyways is Cleve Lubin, edge rusher out of Louisville. This is a player who I'll get to have the pleasure of seeing in about a week and a half here at SMU. So I'm very excited for that. We'll see if he passes the eye test, but he's 250 pounds, 6'3". You guys have had a ton of success off the edge from, why am I forgetting the name of the first round edge rusher from Florida? Why am I tripping? Actually, LSU. I don't know why I'm tripping right now, but you guys had a ton of success off the edge there. But Cleve Lubin is a similar archetype to the edge rushers you've been drafting. And I think this is it just makes a lot of sense. It really does. Kaylavon Chaison's the name I'm looking for. But Chaison's been great. I hope you guys end up extending him. But Cleve Lubin, he's phenomenal as well and just doesn't get a lot of love. He's a top 20 player for me. At 29 for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think corner 2 absolutely is on the market. Jermod McCoy considered returning in this. AJ Harris, I don't really think he's that good. Just going to be honest, I just watched Omar Cooper today and really focused on this matchup. Very flat-footed. I'm terrified of him in the NFL. AJ Harris. Keith Abney is my next best. I do like Julian Neal. I have him as a day 2 player. Davison Igbinosun is technically my highest graded corner. I just don't think the NFL is going to see Davison as high as I do. I think the NFL will see Davison higher than the consensus, but lower than me. So there's going to be some balance there. I don't think that there's necessarily the right balance here because with Keith Abney, his speed's limited. This team has gone after more of the athletic style of edge rusher or corner, excuse me. And the guy who fits that is not Julian Neal. Julian Neal's actually not bad in terms of athleticism. I gave him the short end of the stick, but it would be Igbenos and then Neal. Those are the guys who I think talent wise, because Chris Johnson I've heard is like 4.55, matches what you guys look for. Edge rusher is not a bad position to target. Neither is defensive interior. So actually, funnily enough, I do want to look at both of those. So Christian Miller, because you do have 1 year left of Moro Ojomo, 1 year left of Jordan Davis. So I would say after this year, you might want to have your contingency plan in place. And that is what historically you guys have done. Probably what I'm about to do. But if you were to go after the edge rusher position, you could talk about Joshua Josephs, really good fit, probably going to be there in the second round. But I mean, there are players like Malachi Lawrence that I think could end up working in a different style of role. Mateo Uiagalelei, if you want someone who could be more of a quasi like hybrid edge, or you could just go for a dog like R. Mason Thomas. But I'm beating around the bush. Let's not waste too much time. We're gonna go Christian Miller, defensive interior out of Georgia. Two defensive interiors that are starting on 1 year contracts after this year, or 1 year left of their contracts. It's pretty obvious. You need to have your contingency plan in place. Christian Miller, the option there. Number 30, Denver Broncos. I'm honestly looking at wide receiver here. The value is perfect for someone like Chris Bell. And I know you guys are trying to go after Jalen Waddle. So it's pretty clear that you see some type of benefit to boosting your receiving core. Chris Bell is fantastic and well worth that selection. He's a dog after the catch, and he's just a gritty player. 6'2", 220 with some burners. Really good player to have on your team. And he's playing a system that's not really conducive to his success because Miller Moss has not been remotely using him as much as he should, in my opinion. Number 31, Seattle Seahawks. Have we already taken? Ooh, I know who I want to take. It's usually who I take to the Broncos, so I love the fact that I get the opportunity to take him now. I love flexibility with Mike McDonald. I want a player who can play linebacker, play edge, do whatever the fuck he wants. Give someone who's flexible to Mike McDonald, and it's like similar to teaching a man how to fish. It's like, you know what? We're giving the pole to the master fisherman, and he's going to catch some damn good fish. And that's exactly what I'm doing. We're going to get the exact fish that we want with Anthony Hill Jr., and we're going to have the master fisherman. It's a bullshit. You know what? Fuck the analogy. You got a damn good coach who can utilize somebody who is very versatile. How about that? All right. You like that? I didn't like it. Number 32, we got the New York Jets first pick, Caleb Downs. Here at 32, Denzel Boston makes so much more sense for this team, in my opinion, than Carnell Tate. Like, value-wise, if you can walk out of the first round with Caleb Downs and Denzel Boston, I think you need to be eternally grateful because, first off, Denzel Boston's a true one. And you can end up allowing Garrett Wilson to be free to do whatever the hell he wants. You have pretty much no one that you can truly rely on in contested catch situations that in the way that you can with Denzel Boston. This guy could go anywhere on the field and he can dominate anywhere on the field. I'm a super huge fan of Denzel Boston. So for me to give you guys the honor of having like arguably two of the best players for value at their picks in terms of just floor, you're just boosting your team. It's pretty damn awesome. Number 33 for the Tennessee Titans. Well, we sniped all the wide receiver talent. I was like, oh no, there's going to be somebody there. Ooh, well, shit. That is not the case. Yeah, I mean, that sucks. I don't think Chris Brazel's that good. I regraded him significantly better this year, but I'm not getting participation trophies for that. Ian Strong, very fun. Good option. Not at 33 for me. Jeremy Bernard, really good high floor option. This team doesn't need a high floor option. They need a number one. You're not going to get it here. So I just think that you don't need to spend where you don't need to spend. Like, if it's not worth it, don't do it. Jermont McCoy considered returning this. Otherwise, he would have been the pick a long time ago. So please do not come at me with that bullshit. But this team does like physicality, and I love this fit. He is tied as my corner 3. I can say that now because I have Cisse up much higher. It's Keith Abney II out of Arizona State. This guy's been locked down this year. Had some struggle versus Houston out of nowhere, but Houston is just super underrated program. Very good corner. Right now 6'1", 190 or 6 foot 190, excuse me. Why are all these corners 6 foot 190 or like 5'11", 190? Like, thank God they're actually like big enough this year. I know there's some years where they're either like too big or else they're like super thin. We have really well built corners this year, but Keith Abney is a true boundary corner who brings physicality. This team needs to have a reliable defense. I know you want to invest in Cam Ward, but you're not going to invest, you're not going to help out your quarterback if you continue reaching and making your team full of mediocrity, end up just getting the best value for a position that can make an impact. At 34 for the New Orleans Saints, I mean, again, wide receiver not available. First pick, Fernando Mendoza. I think, going after edge, continuing to build upon what your team is doing well is very, very important. And you guys are running more of a 3-4 system now. So I'm going to be a bit more open to guys who can end up kicking inside. That'd be something like Quincy Rhodes. Or you can go for someone who's going to be a little bit more of a quasi linebacker. And that's looking at someone like Cassius Howell. My problem is Mickey Loomis loves his measurables. I don't think that's what's available here. It's a little bit concerning to me. I will say, interior offensive line, I'm shocked none of my Saints fans have talked about this, and it's because you have a myriad of issues. So I get it. Your guard spot's kind of ass. Like, I hate to say it. I mean, you got rid of Trevor Penning, which granted, I mean, let's leave that in the past, right? But more importantly, injuries have devastated some of the interior of the offensive line, right? Like, I understand there's some pretty like losses to the interior offensive line is not good. But I mean, Torricelli Simpkins was taking reps this year. It's just like, what the fuck? So I'm going to go after offensive line here. And I think it's important to continue investing in said offensive line. I'm going to go Emmanuel Pregnon, who I have as a true first-round talent. I think he's ridiculous. And people aren't giving the respect he deserves. He's a true first-round guard. Just the way the board fell, I wanted to take some other players. At number 35 for the New York Giants, first pick at Jordan Tyson. Second pick here. Could try to go after some offensive line. It's pretty clear that you guys want Marcus Bowe, friend of the show, to go after the tackle position. Would have been great to have Pregnon here. I think that would be a great fit because he also is someone who I could see a future at tackle. But based on the players available, I think Caleb Lamu would be right up your alley. Caleb Lamu is just such a tackle that it's very hard when you have Marcus Bowe there to just say, hey, we're going to just take another guy who probably should be a tackle. Let's go after some other options. Let's look at some other ones. Offensive line, again, there is the chance of us doing that. Cornerback wise, I don't know if I see the value. Like, Julian Neal's awesome. Like, he's actually much better than expected, especially at 6'2", 210. He moves pretty damn well. But still something of note. I would say linebacker, the value's depleted. Defensive interior, not going to do it. Like, it does kind of feel like we're pigeonholed into going after offensive line. And I just don't like the idea of going after Lamu for that reason. And I want to go after someone who I could rely on more on the interior because it does look like the vision for Bowe is tackle, not interior. We're going to get someone who's an absolute wrestling champion. We're going to go after Jennings Dunker. Technically, he does play right tackle, but a lot of people have him like pushed to the inside in the NFL out of Iowa. He's very, very strong. Not someone I really believe in fully, but, again, this is a blend of my opinion and what the NFL believes or the community. Number 36, Cleveland Browns, Ty Simpson, Mekhi Lemon. I'm running this one to the podium. It is Caleb Lamu, tackle/guard out of Utah. I have Lamu at 17 as a guard. I would have him in the 40s as a tackle. I just think that his arm length is a little bit concerning, but again, I didn't want to send him to a team where, again, the logistics don't line up. Number 37 for the New York Jets, we have Caleb Downs and Denzel Boston. Again, Dante Moore considered returning. Jermod McCoy considered returning. CJ Allen's the guy who's starting to speak to me. I mean, Caleb Downs, Denzel Boston, CJ Allen would be kind of a killer trio here. Like, offensively, you have your tight end of the future. We're just waiting on quarterback. Again, you could just wait till round 3, round 4, trying to patch it up, go after a free agent, do whatever the hell you want. Don't force it. Just go after whenever the value lines up. Edge rusher, don't see the value there. Offensive line, you're complete. Running back, I mean, just tag Brees. It's not the class to try to fiddle around with that type of stuff. Corners, you guys seem like you're pretty confident in your corner group. Brandon Stevens, Zaria Thomas as well. I want to keep saying Roger McCreary, but Louisville corner from a couple years ago that I love from the Titans. But you guys are doing a fantastic job there with your secondary. Of course, ended up getting Caleb Downs earlier. Defensive interior, this is where I feel comfortable trying to target a little bit more of the defensive interior because the value is here. And I'm going to go after ceiling because you guys like some talents that you already have. I'm going after Amari Washington out of Oregon. This guy has some of the best highlight tape that you will see. Strong chance he returns to school and tries to get more consistent, but not many players have pushing a guard onto their ass on their highlight reel more than once in their whole career. Amari's done it multiple times this year. So Amari Washington, the option there for the Jets. And number 38 for the Las Vegas Raiders, first pick Arvell Reese. The selection here at 38, can we go after an offensive lineman? I'm trying to see if there's any of them that I ended up forgetting off the top of my head. And the answer is no. Unfortunately, looking at my board as well, just to see if there's any guys who are sneaky in there, and the answer is no. So let's reevaluate. Where can we end up getting good value? Wide receiver, I don't think the value is there. Tight end, no. Like in terms of like for us, I don't think that we're going to get the worthy upgrades. Offensive line, shift JPJ to center, put Meredith back to guard, please. It worked before. I don't know why you changed it. It's some bullshit. Right tackle is available. The value is just not there. Cornerback, you do have some good value right now on your team at corner. You do see, I believe Stokes is not doing all that bad. You guys are not playing your rookies enough, but Porter, long-term vision there, you could end up having a lot of success. So we're already doing well with Arvell Reese. I'm feeling very happy about that as well. I think where you're looking at is either a full-time edge, which again, that's kind of what you want Arvell Reese for. Because the value's here. There's great value at edge. And again, you can go after David Bailey and say, hey, we're going to work with you. You got to work with us. Or we can end up going after defensive interior and getting some really good talent here with Caden McDonald, who is also super young and has had a ton of production for being this young and this talented. And I do think we need to go after this floor and also pair him back up with Arvell Reese. So Caden McDonald, the selection there, defensive interior out of Ohio State. 39 for the Miami Dolphins, Carnell Tate, the first selection here at number 39. I usually go corner for this team. You look at Julian Neal, Chris Johnson, and Davison Igbinosun. Again, the trio that I think would be up next. You can definitely see a future there with any of those guys. Safety-wise, Thienemann's really solid. Saab, Zaki Wheatley. I mean, you really can't go wrong. Can wait for Emmanuel McNeil Warren for round 3 if you so please. Quarterback, not taking one here. Doesn't make sense. You just have to continue building around them. And again, offensive tackle, if I didn't take it for the Raiders, I'm not taking it for the Dolphins. Not saying that you guys have a better line than the Raiders, but I'm saying you guys have pretty overlapping issues. Want to get David Bailey off the board soon because I just think that there is that general notion that, even though I have my concerns and I got burned last year with personality concerns on some of the players that I liked, there's going to be a balance to it. But Dolphins, we already addressed that wide receiver position. Tight end isn't valuable enough. Running back, you got it covered. Offensive line, the value is not there. Then you're just looking at the defensive side. Defensive back, we already talked about it. You could go after defensive back, but you could end up waiting as well. Cornerback, certainly possible here. It's one that I've done several times. Defensive interior, could go after a run stuffer, but just wait. Just wait. Don't do something stupid. But edge rusher, again, you could talk about it since Jalen Phillips is gone. You could try to go after someone, but it's going to be a little bit larger, like a Quincy Rhodes, Mateo Uiagalelei, maybe a little bit more up your alley, but again, you could try to wait if you want to. So I think that's all actually leading me back down to cornerback row. And I'm going to look at the players available. Chris Johnson makes a lot of sense, but I want someone who's going to be physical on the boundary and, somebody who's going to be a big surprise because he's more athletic than people think. I'm going to go Julian Neal, cornerback out of Arkansas, 6'2", 210. First off, Nobody's going to be bitching this guy in terms of physicality. But on top of that, he's pretty damn fluid for his size. I have him as a mid day 2 grade, and it's a good option here to build a strong foundation in the secondary there for the Dolphins. Number 40 for the Houston Texans, first pick, Trevor Gooseby. Right tackle experience, measurables, and if you have to kick him into guard, I do see some traits being able to, some issues mitigating there for the short term. But number 40, I'm going to get some edge depth. I think this team does have a chronic issue with depth. And David Bailey, I mean, I hate to say it, if there's going to be any team that I have issues with their personality and not being in check, it is probably the Houston Texans. Azeez Al-Shaair, the big one, but Christian Harris as well, having his moments. I will say you guys are willing to go best player available, and David Bailey for depth as an edge 3. I mean, you can't get much better value than that. At 41 for the Cincinnati Bengals, first pick, not Jalen Kilgore, but my number 8 player, Brandon Cisse, cornerback out of South Carolina. So at least they're both the same position and same school. But I want to help out Joe Burrow as much as I can. Looking at the offensive line and who is available, can talk about Caden Green here. I want to give some love to a player who I don't usually, and he is on your screen as well, I believe. No, he's not. Now he is on your screen somewhere. Where the hell did I end up putting Kobe Baines at 29? I love Kobe Baines. This is somebody who I think should be considered at least in this range. Granted, a pure guard is going to be very tough to take over like a guard tackle hybrid. So you're looking at Caden Green here as a prime example, like 6'5", 324. This is somebody that you could end up taking and putting at tackle. He'll also have some pretty solid measurables in that aspect as well. Isaiah World is actually a player that's perfect to put to guard in the short run and then have as a tackle in the long haul. And he is a true tackle. Caden Green went from guard to tackle. We're going to go Isaiah World. I don't know why it says 6'8" here. His official listed measurement's under 6 foot or 6'6". That'd be crazy, like a 5'10" tackle. We're going to go Isaiah World here. Because again, I think as a guard, he's going to be worth like an early day 2. And you have the upside of being a tackle. I want to help out Joe Burrow as much as I can. Or Joe Flacco. Whichever Joe is commanding the team. At 42 for the Atlanta Falcons, people are going to clown y'all for not having your first round pick. I'll just say this. We said every single year this team needs to get their edge rushing core fixed. You did. With 2 picks. And you got Xavier Watts as part of that deal. I'll just say right now, get clowned all you want. You guys maximize the value of that trade. So good on you. You guys fixed your edge core, something we did not think was possible in one offseason, and you did it. So congrats. I think you guys did a great job. I actually like the trade. It was expensive, but you guys ended up making out with Watts. You guys minimized the amount of picks you brought in because you guys had like 4 or 5 players, I think 5, from your entire class, but they're all amazing value. And I really like how you guys handled that situation. A wide receiver, 100% on my radar. Again, Jeremy Bernard literally played with Michael Penix before. And I will say, there's some ass on your team. You could look at center. Connor Liu considered returning this. Obviously, he's out for the year, and he's a true junior. Doesn't make any sense for him to come out. But I would say nose tackle. You could talk about it with Caleb Banks, but the injuries, he did not show the development. There's just, you have nose tackles you can take down the board. So I'm going to go after the wide receiver. Again, old but gold is usually the way that you can go when you have a connection, like Jeremy Bernard to Michael Penix. And the reliability factor is going to be more valuable for this than probably anything else. I'll say this, though. So Jeremy, I can see he's going to be fine on the boundary. You don't need to use him in the slot. I would almost be perfectly fine if you double down on wide receiver and go Omar Cooper for the slot later on, because I honestly think Omar has some ARSB to him, Amon-Ra, that I really like. Granted, Jeremy and Omar have their biggest strength after the catch. I don't know if it's necessarily 1-1 that you can end up making that work. But what's great is that Drake London ended up having a very, very good receiver trio there at USC with Pittman as well as ARSB. So if you can, maybe end up getting, funnily enough, if you want to pass on Jeremy Bernard, end up getting Surratt and Omar Cooper, that could be very reminiscent of what they had there at USC. But Jeremy Bernard, again, you got that connection to Michael Penix years ago. 43, Arizona Cardinals, first pick, CC Mauigoa. Second pick, you guys know me. I'm a creature of habit. When I end up seeing big issues for teams to solve with proper value, you take it. CJ Allen, linebacker out of Georgia. The team needs a mic. I don't want to just like completely blaze over the pick, but it's a pretty big issue. But at number 44, we have the Jets, who've gotten Caleb Downs, Denzel Boston, Amari Washington, who I think all three are going to be impact players. I got hiccups. The biggest risk, in my opinion, would be Amari Washington. Here at 44, I think this is where you can take a shot on an edge rusher because, I mean, with Jermaine Johnson, not necessarily going to, he's not guaranteed there for the long haul. Also, you do need an edge rotation. Michael Clemens going to be gone. You guys are going to value size and power. And who brings that? LT, I just don't think he brings the athleticism required for it. Mateo, not strong enough. Deny it's possible, but you look at Akeem Mesidor and Malachi Lawrence as the options here. And Malachi is not 6'4", 250. He's 6'4", 263 in the spring, but he has 35-inch arms. This is somebody that you can mold into a superstar. I have him top 10. I know some people who have him top 15. So I'm not the only one. Not that crazy. Pretty crazy. Not that crazy. I'm going to go with that here because you're building foundation for your team. To drop into a quarterback, drop in whatever you want. I'm going to go after best players available. We're going to go Malachi Lawrence here out of UCF. And again, in the offseason, we might see a team say on draft day, the player they like gets sniped. We're going to send a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson and just kind of solve the deal there. It's very possible that could happen, but Malachi Lawrence, the selection for the Jets. 45, Baltimore Ravens, Peter Woods, the first choice. Here at number 45, boundary corner could definitely be on their radar. You got Chris Johnson, Davison Igbinosun. I think Davison Igbinosun is fantastic. I think he's going to be well built for Baltimore as well. Extremely physical, built for the AFC North. I'm going to call it in. We're going to go Davison Igbinosun out of The Ohio State University. At number 46 for the Minnesota Vikings, Avion Terrell, the first round selection. Center, I don't think the value is here unless you had Jennings Dunker. I'm a huge fan. I mean, technically, I do believe the value is here with Lyndon Cooper. I just have to blend my board with realism. I just don't think people view him as a second-round player remotely. Like, people think of him as a pure day 3 player. I do know people who still really love Malachi Lawrence. People will end up getting on the Lyndon Cooper train, but again, it's not very representative to talk about that right now. I would end up saying the center value outside of my guy Lyndon Cooper is just not great. Right tackle wise, I didn't take him for the teams that desperately needed it before. Highly doubt I'm going to do that for you now. Looking at the best possible value, we're looking at Dylan Thieneman here. And if you can walk away with Avion Terrell and Dylan Thieneman, you guys are going to be just fine. He did regress a little bit this year in terms of the down-by-down consistency. He has let up some big plays, but that's why you're getting him here at 46 and not having him get taken in the top 20. 47, Houston Texans, David Bailey, Trevor Goosby. Also guys in Texas, which the Texans have been notorious for liking. I honestly like Jonah Coleman still, but I would probably wait till round 3. He has seen, if I'm not mistaken, a drop-off in production. Sub 5 yards per carry is not something that you really want to be looking at for these type of players. Like, sub 5 yards per carry is pretty tough to make a consistent NFL career, because you should be doing that pretty consistently in college. If you're not able to get, above 4 yards per carry in the NFL, you're starting to be like, what are you doing? Is it like that bad of an offensive line? And that's where you start having those questions. But again, you ended up getting a pure tackle there with Goosby. Again, you can kick him into guard, but no one's being bullshitted. Like, we all know. We see the vision for Goosby. Bailey is going to be just best player available. And I do think depth at the defensive positions, it's a big issue. So I do like the idea of, even though it doesn't seem like the biggest thing, going after it. Tight end's underrated. I just don't think that the value is going to be there. Even though you guys know me, I'm a huge fan of where's he out on my board? Number 48, Eli Raridan. I love him to death. Just don't necessarily think this team is in that desperate of a mode for a tight end. Again, running back, just not really the class for it. Also, John, I want to say John Henry Daly, because I ended up grading him from Utah. He's a very good player as well. But do I have John? I'm trying to see where I have the running back from UTSA. Yeah, Robert Henry Jr. He's number 76 for me on my board. Again, a lot of players who are still being moved up and down respectively. But that's someone who I think would be actually a really good compliment and keeps it in Texas, baby. But I just think the best value is going to be either on the offensive line or on or going after defense in terms of the defensive interior. But Caden Green's good value here. Charles Jagasaw is going back to school, but oh my God, that guy is so fun. I just got to give him a shout out because I just want to give him a shout out. But Caden Green, I think, will be the choice here. Like Austin Saraveld, if he comes out, not a bad choice. He is somebody who's playing tackle this year, but played guard all last year and definitely plays like a guard. We're going to go Caden Green here, someone who is playing tackle, former experience at guard. I think this is just somebody who, again, Missouri ended up saying, well, shit, we just ended up like losing two legitimate tackles and Marcus Bryant as well as Armand Membu. Got to make do with what we got. And Caden Green's been very good, but I would also say he's built still more for a guard. Number 48 for the Carolina Panthers. First pick, Sonny Styles. Second pick, I want somebody who's a balanced edge rusher if I'm going to go that route, because like Joshua Joseph makes some sense here, but I do want someone who's like a down by down guy, kind of like a physical freak the way Scorton was, if I'm going to go this route. Because the value is here. Like Deny doesn't feel athletic enough to be on the Scorton level, because Scorton's like 280 and is a freak. I think Akeem Mesidor is a really good fit. Again, at 48, he's just going to be like 25 years old when he's a rookie. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be possible. With Howell, it's just very DPR-y. If that's the word I just made up. I love him, but he has sub 31-inch arms. It just doesn't make sense unless, well, I guess for the Panthers, because you have Princely and he's still somebody that you can rely on as an every down who's just going to continue growing, I do think it's possible just to go BPA with Cassius Howell here and just retool that defense. I know you could talk about getting a quarterback, but just don't force things. It's just I'm a Steelers fan. Just trust me. Every time you try to force something that doesn't fit, it ends up backfiring. Just don't do it. Cassius Howell, the selection there at 48, best player available. I'm fine with that. 49 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Some people think Spags could be on his way out, if I'm not mistaken. I need to see some more news on that before I start getting on board with that, because I'm just going to be honest, Quincy Rhodes makes too much sense for this team. First round pick, Jeremiah Love. This is a Spags build edge rusher at 6'6", 275, who has the quick win ability that you're looking for. Kind of a match made in heaven. 50, San Francisco 49ers. Caden Proctor, the first round selection. Here at number 50. Saleh going to be able to get his edge rusher here. The question is, who does he want to get? Joshua Joseph could have basically just be what he has in Will McDonald, 240 pounds, but very strong, very good arm length at near 35 inches. Great bend. Just, I mean, to me, I think he's a little bit worse than, like noticeably worse than Will McDonald coming out, but a lot of people really, really love him. I still really like him. R. Mason Thomas would end up being a little bit better of a player, but I think Joshua Josephs is a perfect fit for Robert Saleh. So we're going to go after Joshua Josephs there. At number 51 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, again, sucks seeing your number 2 overall pick that you sent that first for out for the rest of the year and out for the next 6 months. Just sucks to see Travis Hunter go under surgery like that. But I will say, fix the offensive line. Your left tackle sucks ass. I'm just going to be honest. I'm forgetting his name, Stanford tackle, but I mean, Walker Little, ass. There's just not good value, guys. A lot of people really like Nicky Prongos. I've not graded him. He did not pop to me in person. I got to see him as well when he came to town. So he ended up coming to SMU. I did not know of him at that time, but I will say I didn't certain players just popped to me. I did not see that. Again, it's not a vetted thing where I've seen 100,000 tackles and the one who I popped are good 99.9% of the time. Like, no, I'm not going to bullshit on that, but it is something at least worth noting. I will say, defensive linemen, the pop thing's legit. Like Warren Brinson, I had no idea who the hell that guy was going into the Shrine Bowl. Call that on me. You can feel free to call me out for that. I respect that. But I had no idea. And I was like, ooh, that guy's really good. Like, there's just an eye test that you just can't, you can see it on tape sometimes, but it's just different in person. And, he's doing really well. So I mean, in terms of guys who I've never seen before that really catch the eye in person, definitely worth noting that, at least there's stuff like that. But at number 51, honestly, I'm intrigued with Jaden Roberts. He's coming off a 90 pass blocking grade versus LSU. He's having a little bit of a career resurgence right now, and I love seeing that because this is someone who I had as a first round player a couple of years ago. I don't think he's garnered a second round contention yet, but it is worth mentioning at the very minimum. Like, hey, this guy's actually doing really well. I will say this as well. Chase Bizontis has had a really solid year himself. Got to give him a lot of credit. Some people have him as a top 5 guard, and honestly, it's not a bad fit here for Jacksonville, but I'd prefer to see, either I'd prefer to see them go other routes than this. But defensive interior, I heard that they've also been open to making some moves. I think they tried to inquire about Quinnen Williams. Like Caleb Banks wouldn't be a bad choice for them. I think I'm going to go Eli Raridan. I went for him before. Jeez, I can't speak English. Funnily enough, I don't know another language, so I can't say, oh, English isn't my first language. But I'm going to go after one of my favorite players in the entire country, my number 48 player, Eli Raridan, tight end out of Notre Dame. I've been taking Luke Hodge this whole time. He's going to be the guy who I continue using as the placeholder. 52 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So first pick, Darian Menza, my number 43 player on my board. But I got hiccups again. Goddamn. Darian Menza, the selection, could go back to school, and I honestly think maybe should. But I'm looking right now. Omar Cooper, he's a dynamic weapon, especially after the catch. My only issue if I went Omar Cooper is this. We already have Roman in the slot. Omar is a slot only kind of guy. Like slot fades, I don't know if there's a better player in the whole entire country than Omar Cooper. So I would look at Ian Strong. I don't like Chris Brazzell, even though it's a great fit. It is. Like, we just brought in MVS. It's pretty clear that, Chris Brazzell would have a defined role that at least the organization has shown favor for. Like Ian Strong, I think would be a good choice. We do want to bounce back. Well, Chris Johnson's here at corner. You know what? Yeah, that's a good move. He has high zone coverage ability as well. So it's good to see him be able to at least have the understanding of the game down. He has the physicality to make pass breakups a man. Good value. Good value. Chris Johnson, the selection there out of San Diego State. 53 for the Buffalo Bills. First pick, Keldrick Falk. Second round. Linebacker-wise, I do think it's a little bit more on the slim pickings. Terrain York, not fully sold. I think this draft thrives in round 3. At linebacker, because you can look at Kyle Lewis. Drake Bowen as well deserves some love. Doesn't get enough. I'm probably going back to school. That's what the Notre Dame guys do. But Jacob Rodriguez, Jay Golday, Whit Weeks, there's definitely guys worth mentioning there. Aiden Fisher's had some good moments. Caleb Elarms Orr, also. There's Desmond Purnell ended up having a fantastic week a couple weeks ago. There's another linebacker from UConn, Byron Parham. Another guy well worth, investing in, but I definitely don't think the value is there for us. I'm going to look at safety. AJ Halsey's a beast. Ends up having a big hit complexion to him, and I love that. But I would like even more range. I like the way Cole Bishop's starting to turn it on. And so I'm looking at someone who could also end up playing more in the cold. I don't like how his missed tackles jumped up a little bit. Because he was very reliable a year before. But I love Zaki Wheatley. He's a top. Where's he at on my board? Number 30. The value's there. Just continue getting damn good players. 54 for the Bears. Zion Young, the first round selection. Again, it's nothing fancy. But defensive interior, you could talk about a nose tackle like Caleb Banks. Worked before. Not going to do it, though. I do think defensive back, continue to develop it. It's worth the move. Keon Saab's an athletic freak. If he fixes his pursuit angles, this guy's going to be so damn productive, and he's going to be a dominant secondary player. I think it's worth taking the risk because, again, first round for the Bears, we ended up going Zion Young. So we got that defensive line, and now we're getting that secondary piece. 55 for the Buccaneers. First round pick, Kenyon Sadiq. We're pretty happy because there's really good talents here at 55, and one that I'm willing to go in the first for the Buccaneers is R. Mason Thomas. We go him here at 55. 56 for the Detroit Lions. Caleb Tiernan, that first round selection. If we end up having a good corner here, I'd end up taking him. Like Malik Muhammad's an option, but I do like the fact that Terrion Arnold's kind of bouncing back, kind of quelling those rumors of, just being out. But LT Overton would be a fun tweener. Romello Height, more of a DPR, but I'm going to go deny Dennis Sutton. Consistent production, again, like in cold weather climate, similar to Tiernan. Not the flashiest player in the world, but just damn good. 57 for the Green Bay Packers. First pick is, sent for Micah Parsons. But here in the second, I think with a better offensive coordinator, you guys are going to do even better. I do like the idea of going after corner for y'all. Again, AJ Harris, again, people were wondering why not Jermont McCoy? Guys, if you guys haven't picked up that I'm having him return to school, please listen to the start of the video. I say it multiple times to irritate some of the people who actually spend the time watching these videos, but you guys need to listen. But regardless, I do think Malik Muhammad would be my next selection. 6 foot, 190. All these guys are like the exact same build. But this is definitely somebody who's a true boundary corner. He's able to be physical, someone who I think could end up working. I do think people look at AJ Harris. I've been anti-AJ Harris this whole time, but we're going to go Malik Muhammad. I mean, he's a strong boundary corner. I think he'll end up working out with, oh my God, why am I, Jeff Hafley. I think it works really well because he elevates talent, and Malik Muhammad has a lot of talent. 58 for the Los Angeles Chargers. Vega was the first round selection. And here at number 58, I mean, you could just continue developing offensive line. I would not blame you for doubling down. But at the same time, you could look at some extra boundary corner help. I do like that Cam Hart. And then Nico Reed was someone who I spotted preseason, before the NFL preseason. But during summer scouting, when I was watching some other receivers, being like, who the hell is this guy? Amazing snipe. We're going to go defensive interior. We're going to roll the dice on Caleb Banks. Sometimes the value is just too good to pass on. And again, I'm a big proponent of having reliable noses, and you end up losing one to the Rams, who were picking for at number 59. Spencer Fano, Casey Concepcion, the first two selections. Let's continue going and developing this team for Super Bowl contention. And again, some of these players like Lenore Sellers returning to school, Dante Moore considered returning to school, Jermont McCoy, same thing. So please do not say, how are these guys available? Like, guys, please listen to the video. This is why I say things. I don't like just saying things over and over again. I would have a girlfriend to do that to me. I would never do that to them because it's like, drives me fucking nuts. But could look at a quarterback for the succession plan. But if you want to go all in, go all in. And we could try to get some extra value on the offensive line right now. Like Chase Bazontis wouldn't be like a horrible idea. He is, again, a guard viewed by many as like a round 2 player. This is just a team that's so good to where you're just like, what do we do? Corner does feel like the value pick here. You guys ended up getting Roger McCreary. So at least there's some type of value needed there. But the question is there a value add? And I do think teams look at AJ Harris, even though statistically, this is a team where, funnily enough, they're very heavy into analytics, and he has not analytically been very good this year. But if you want to blend, some people still think AJ Harris is a first round corner with where I think of him, which is a day 3. This is about the range where it would end up going. So we'll go AJ Harris for the culture, for the people who believe in him still. I'm not one of them, but that's why he's here at 59. 60, New England Patriots, Clev Lubin, first round. Number 60, I want to stretch that field, man. There's not a better fit in this draft for Chris Brazzell than the New England Patriots. Deep threat, built to just churn and burn downfield. And, that's exactly what Drake May does best. Launch those nukes downfield. I'm going to go after Chris Brazzell here. I would love to go left guard, by the way, and end up putting Wilson to center. I just personally think that when the fit is too good, the fit's too good. Number 61, Philadelphia Eagles, first pick, Christian Miller. Big fan of that. Offensive line, just don't really see it. You can talk about Blake Miller. He's having a career resurgent year because he was really bad last year. I mean, like that Texas game was like, I'm out. Like I'm completely out on him. Ended up liking him in 2023, hated him in 2024. Looks like he's bouncing back in 2025, thank God. But maybe that's an option you can talk about, or just develop the guys that you have on roster. Corner, I just don't see the value here. Tight end, don't see the value. Already took Raritan. So it's like, where do you see possible value? Is there at guard? Again, we kind of like siphoned it. The one player I still want to find a home for is Kobe Baines, guard out of Kansas. The dude is just a reliable right guard, which is a big issue on y'all's team. Probably is going to be an underrated position to target. Safety, you could try to address, Reed's position with AJ Halsey. He's a big hitter. AJ Halsey feels like a Philadelphia Eagle too, but I'm going to hold off on that. I'm actually going to go Kobe Baines, guard out of Kansas. And he's not listed in here. We're going to go after Bryce Foster, his teammate, as the placeholder, but my number 29 player on my board, Kobe Baines. And again, technically, Jeremiah Love is jumping Damon Claiborne. So there's just injury concern there. Regardless, number 62, Denver Broncos. First pick, Chris Bell. Second pick here at number 62. This is where I'm starting to feel like late in the first or late in the second is where I can start taking some more players. Jacob Rodriguez has been on fire, and he's 6'1". He's going to be 240 pounds, good mobility. He's just been flashing every single week. Got to give him credit where credit's due. We're taking him here at the end of the second. At 63 for the Seahawks, Anthony Hill Jr., the first selection. Here at number 63, I do want to get a right guard if possible. And I was just talking about Kobe Baines, took him to the Eagles. Chase Bazontis actually has a good chance as well. He has a mobile quarterback too, so it could work. Not fully sold on it. Honestly, Austin Barber would be really fun as well because I think of him as a guard, and I think this is a good range for him to go. Corner, don't see the value there. Honestly, wide receiver, you could end up upgrading there. I don't know why people don't talk about wide receiver because you brought in Rashid Shaheed. Outside of him and JSN, you do need to have, I'm tripping. My fault. I forgot about Torrey Horton. Dude's a fucking beast. I take it back. I promise. I take it back. Nose tackle would be nice. I always say I would want to be able to bring in a nose tackle. Do that round 3. You got Brevard, you got Keenan, Big Dom, Big Citrus. He's a monster too. I'm actually going to go after Austin Barber and move him to guard. 6'6", 314, 33 and a quarter inch arms. He just has some issues as a tackle holding up to speed to power. But he ends up actually handling himself really well when in simulated guard reps where there's a tight end next to him. I think it's actually a pretty damn good fit. And at number 64 for the Indianapolis Colts, the Denver Broncos, I'm going to look at LT Overton here. I mean, it's their first pick. They need to go after like some extra edge talent, and Lou likes his big edges. So it's Mateo or it's LT. Mateo's fine. I've always been on like the Mateo outside of round 1 realm. Like when people were trying to glaze him for like just kind of, I have him above LT, funnily enough, but that's just because LT is trying to play defensive tackle for some reason. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. To be fair, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. Mateo will be viewed very highly. He's skinny for 270, but we'll go for it. A lot of guys who have some contracts popping up this year. So maybe JT Tuimalau could be more the high floor player. Mateo more of a high ceiling edge rusher, with Latu being the consistent star on the other side. So that's going to be the video. Thank you again for watching, showing the love you always do. I'll see you later.